Okay, this video is for Math 99 e-homework number 19 from e-homework 4.14.2. Okay. This one is linear modeling. So the first thing we need to do is look at this chart. We have a median home value in West Virginia and South Carolina. So we have the start year is 1950. So the first thing you want to do is label that as year 0. So it's much easier to work with. And then anything beyond that is just, so X is the number of years after 1950. So our y-intercepts then are all set up for us really nicely. So our y-intercept for West Virginia would be 0 and then 33,200. And likewise for South Carolina, you'd have 0 and then 31,000. That would be your y-intercept. So we're going to need that later. That's really helpful. The first question helps us to figure out the slope. If we assume that the house values are changing linearly, we need to know that information because we only have a couple of points, so we really can't tell. So that would need to be given to know for sure. Otherwise, you could say average rate of change between these years, and we'd have to be more careful about extrapolating, because it could be exponential. That would be a lot different. So we have in which state have home values increased at a higher rate? So the answer is South Carolina. You can kind of tell by looking at it, but let's make sure we know how to do that mathematically. Okay, so what I did was figure out the rate of increase per year in the median house value. So I just get my laser here, took the values for West Virginia. I did the higher minus the lower right here and divided by 50 years, because I would have 2000 minus 1950 would be 50. So that comes out to $792 per year increase. So it's positive. So we're going to have, a slope kind of like this, right? And then the other one, I found the difference in the values and divided by 50 again, because it's the same number of years, and that was 1,278. So it's a little steeper. So that one is the higher one, South Carolina. So that's how I came up with that. And I'm going to use that as my slope. That's actually equal to M. Okay, that's M I have one for West Virginia and one for South Carolina. So for part B, it says, if these trends were to continue, what would be the median home value in West Virginia in 2010? So we have to make an equation, a model for us to use, and then figure out 2010 would actually be X equal to 60, because remember our X, we should write that somewhere up here. We could write let X equal number of years past or after, let's say, after 1950. So that's for year 2010. So obviously, this is old because we're up in 2020 now, but that's okay. You get the idea. So first thing I want to do is set up a y equals mx plus b situation, right? So I know what my slope is already for West Virginia is the first one I'm going to use. So that's this one here, the 792. So then I'm going to have y equals 792x, and then b is my y-intercept. Well, if I'm savvy, I can kind of look up here to my y-intercept. There would be 0 33,200, so plus the 33,200. I mean, you could plug in 2 points. Like if you had kept it as years, then you'd have to use that 1950. It would get a bit messy, but that's our initial year. That's our start year. So we can just pop that y-intercept right in there. And we are trying to find, median value. So we could call that, instead of y, maybe we'll call that v of x. Okay. And we need to know for 2010 is what the question's asking. So we would do v of 60. And then just go ahead and plug that all in. 60. So I have 792 times 60 plus 33,200. Then you can calculate out what that is. So then I just crunched those numbers while I paused the video and got $80,720. And that is what this answer for part B is. That's the what we would predict, or now we're going back in time because it's 2010, that the home value was, median home value was for West Virginia. So now for part C, we assume the linear trend existed before 1950 and continues after 2000. The two states' median house values will be or were equal in what year? The answer might be absurd. So we're going to take a look at each equation and then set them equal to each other is how we would figure that one out. So we already have our equation for West Virginia. Okay, v of x for West Virginia. Whoop. So now we just have to figure out the equation for the other one. So I have to scroll back up here, and that x value is going to be, or y-intercept, sorry, 31,000. So this is for South Carolina. This one was West Virginia. So I would have my value is going to be 1,278x, because I already have the slope calculated out from part A. Then plus my y-intercept, I'm looking at this number up here, 31,000. Okay, now I'm going to set them equal to each other and solve for x. Sorry about that. So then we would have 792x plus 33,200 equal to 1,278x plus 31,000. I'm just going to pause the video and write out the steps for that real quick for you. Okay, so once I solve this out, I get x equals 4.007 years. So even though it's a tiny decimal there, the answer will be 1955 because it's going to be in that year. It just puts me over that tipping point into 1955. So that's when they would have been equal. Okay, so I hope that helps. The idea up here of getting the y-intercept, I think, is really critical. Slope, knowing how to actually calculate that out, and that it is the slope, not just kind of eyeballing and catching on to this question by sort of knowing it intuitively, but being able to get the numbers here may be helpful. So let me know if you need any other help with that one. If you have any questions about it. And if you're good to go, let me know that too. So have a great day.